John Lennon and Paul McCartney's compositions for the Beatles have a lot of distinct elements that fit together. As the 1960s progressed, they no longer wrote side by side at Paul's boyhood home on Forthlin Road in Allerton. When John and Paul began to have creative disagreements in the band's latter years, they started creating songs alone and then would send them to each other for revisions. When they were working on a song together, they would sometimes each compose a whole part and then mix them. This was the situation with A Day in the Life, a track that was included on the groundbreaking 1967 album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Several newspaper items John read in January 1967 served as inspiration for the song's opening half. He brought the song to Paul's attention, and the latter included the middle eight, which reflected his Liverpool background. News of Tara Brown's death, the heir to the Guinness Brewery, and a Daily Mail article about potholes in Blackburn served as lyrical inspiration for John. Paul describes how the narrator gets up, lights up, and dashes for the bus, perhaps motivated by his experience riding the 82 bus from Speke to school. Baby, You're a Rich Man, also released in 1967, was another song written by Paul and John using a similar technique. On July 7, 1967, the single All You Need Is Love, which did not contain an album, was released to stores with this song as its B-side. First recorded as One of the Beautiful People, Baby You're a Rich Man evolved into its current form. John drew inspiration for it, like he did for A Day in the Life, from newspaper stories that discussed the hippie movement. In St. John's Wood, London, he dropped off the unfinished song to Paul. After writing the chorus for another unfinished song, Paul decided to use it in this one and gave it the name. The song was composed by combining two independent compositions that were forced into one, as John described it in an interview from 1980. The other half belonged to me. How does it feel to be one of the beautiful people? Now that you know who you are, da 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 da, he sung. A lick that Paul had lying around is, Baby, You're a Rich Man, and then he walks in. Even though they usually record at EMI Studios on Abbey Road, they decided to record Baby, You're a Rich Man at Olympic Sound Studios in southwest London for a single session. While the Sgt. Pepper album was wrapping up, the Beatles were hard at work on the score for the Yellow Submarine film. However, this song was not selected. It was really released alongside All You Need Is Love rather than separately. Oddly enough, it ended up on the soundtrack CD of the movie Magical Mystery Tour, even though the band was against it. When reviewed with All You Need Is Love, the song garnered rave reviews. Reporters from Billboard and critic Richard Poirier both praised the song as an Eastern-flavored rocker with an infectious beat and an intricate lyric, and described it as a particularly brilliant example of modern songwriting. In David Fincher's 2010 documentary The Social Network, which chronicles the creation of Facebook, the song Baby You're a Rich Man was prominently played at the conclusion. Actor Jesse Eisenberg's Mark Zuckerberg keeps hitting the refresh button on his laptop as the credits roll, checking to see if ex-girlfriend Erica Albright has accepted his friend request.